Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I'm really excited to be talking about this topic because this is another topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And there's a lot of creators out there who are looking to market themselves to brands and just get their information out there. And a really great way of doing that is making a pitch deck for yourself. So in this video, I did have a few people who reached out on Twitter and who asked a few questions about this. So I'll be answering those questions at the end of the video, but I believe I'll go over those during this video. All right, so first off, the first thing that a lot of people ask is, so when is a good time for me to start a pitch deck and how do I go about doing that? So for me, I work with the team at Tyrus who created my pitch deck, which you'll see in a second here. Which lists a lot of my social stats and also a little bit of information about myself and just demographics and brands and all the kind of stuff that is involved with that. So the first thing is, how are you going to make this, I would say? So there's a lot of great ways you could do that. Like if you are a graphics person, this is a good way of doing it yourself. Or if you're not, I think canva.com is a good, creating and designing things on there is pretty easy, so you can create your own on there. Or if you have to, going outsourcing and looking for different sources who may be creating these things already. I think fiverr.com is a really good example if you're looking for that, because I've used that in the past, because I'm not a graphics person, but you could probably find someone on there or just like, on Twitter, or just like reaching out and talking to other streamers about how they made their pitch decks. That's a really good way of trying to reach out and try to work with someone. When is a good time for me to create a pitch deck for a brand or just to get my information out there? In particular, I think when you start seeing growth in your channel is a really good time to know that. I think, we all have access to our channel stats and our and everything when it comes to statistics. So when you start seeing that kind of growth, I think it's a good time whenever you feel is right. You don't have to be a partner on Twitch to do it. You don't you don't have to be in a certain kind of level. I just think whenever you feel like it's time for, you want to market yourself in a different way, that is good. So the first thing I was going to say is that you want to make sure that you know your stats. We have a lot of the stats on Twitch that showcase like, your viewership and like how many times you stream and, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really good way of showing that. I also think there's a lot of cool other websites that kind of go more in depth. One that I'm going to actually mention is called rainmaker.gg, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So one website that I have checked out in the past is called rainmaker.gg, which gives you some more stats that you probably are looking for. I don't stream as often as I used to, so a lot of this has changed, but it gives you really good like information of like, when you streamed, and like you could change the date and all that kind of stuff of when you want to. So you could see like what your viewership is like and how many views you got, like the total followers, how much you've gained in 3 months, and like the total amount of views that you've gained in that certain amount of time. Shows you all the stuff about like what games you played, how many followers you gained and lost during that time period. So there's a lot of different websites you could check out if you want kind of more in depth. Another one is a free one called solinome.com, which you could check out too. But these are really good ways of getting that information that you want to put into your pitch deck. So I can show you, for example, for mine here, we have like, the little bit of information about myself. So it kind of gives people like everything that they need to know about me right then and there. I've been streaming on Twitch since 2014. I got partnered in 2016, and I also have raised over $100,000 for various charities over the last few years of my career on Twitch. And I also started a Twitch Chicago community here, and which that kind of information is very important, especially when you're talking to brands, so they can see right then and there like what kind of person you are and all that kind of stuff. Over time, like this is why I also think it's good to, if you do get this going, but with yourself or with someone else, try to still have that person in arm's reach, because every few months I would say it's good to update your pitch deck, so it's like it has the accurate numbers, because I know since this was made, this has changed a lot. Basically, we talk about how much, how many followers that you have on Twitch, how many you have on all your social media platforms is really good. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I think this is also great talking about the different demographics, because people are going to want to know where's your viewership coming from? Like what countries? Because like there may be some brands that only work in certain countries, and they want to make sure that they are able to reach that market, that target. So we have that here. And also the age groups is always good too. I believe Twitch has this as well. This depends on the person, but like we have this here, like about the, the split between if it's male or female. Obviously it's kind of hopefully changing in the future that we can add in more options, because obviously, there is different identifications for other people. And so hopefully, with stats and things changing, we'll be able to see that. But unfortunately at this time, there's not a lot of websites or just like, social medias that show different kinds of gender. So hopefully that will happen in the future. And I hope for that. And so a little bit more about this is that we have like, things that you have contributed to, the streaming space or the gaming space. I talk about here, we have the community stuff that I have done, the gaming stuff that I have done as well. The hosting things that I have done, just making sure that, brands know what is out there and what you're putting out there for yourself. And I always think to have your pitch deck be like very short, sweet to the point. It doesn't have to have a bunch of information on it, just the main stuff. So if someone gets it, they have it right then and there. How I was explained how pitch decks work is basically, it's like what happens if you walk into an elevator and someone says, hey, tell me about your channel. And then you have only a certain amount of time to tell them everything that you need to. And so the pitch deck kind of works in that kind of way where it gives them all the information that they need. It gives them the links that you want to put as well. I have mine at the bottom. So if anybody wants to check my stuff out, they can find it there. And then also, it has my email address at the bottom. So if anybody wants to contact me for any sort of opportunities, they have all the information there. The secondary part, which I always think is really good, is like having, being able to download this so people can like have, if you want to send it in email, or if you want to create a link for it, definitely having a link that's easy to grab, this and that, blah, 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 put it right there. A lot of people, a lot of streamers put their pitch decks onto their Twitter page, which I think is kind of cool, because like when people come to your Twitter account for the very first time, they get all that information in a pin tweet right there, so they can understand what kind of person you are and that kind of stuff. So that's totally up to you. I like to have like some sort of information on mine and just like, a really cool like moment that I can like show people, because like I know videos work a lot well, especially coming for the first time. People like see that and they're like, whoa, this is what's going on. But I think I like to take it a step further when it comes to pitch decks. I made a video about this, which I made a website for myself, which takes it more in depth. If anybody wanted to come to my website and they could see the brands that I've worked with before, like I've worked with Cartoon Network, I've done stuff with Twitch, Tumblr, Rooster Teeth, Nike, Hennessy, Microsoft, like everything under the sun. And I made sure to like link everything here, because just in general, if people are looking me up, they can see all my information here. And say if you're getting any sort of things that you are creating, like if you're being talked about in the news or in articles, I put this, I have a whole section here that it explains like and shows all of the different articles I've been into, as well, a little bit about myself and my bio and things I've done in the past. And then also like all my links are here for different things I've done, which also for, I know a lot of people are, want to get verified on Twitter. One of the things that they want you to have is to have articles that have your name in it, that you're being talked about. So I always like to gather all this stuff and all this information here, so if people ever come to look me up, they could see that I've been involved in all these articles here, which, if you want to include that into your pitch deck, that's totally fine. I think that's good. But pitch decks are really great ways of creating a really cool way to getting your name out there and showcasing to a brand that you are really wanting to work with them and you want to take it to the next level as a professional person in the creating space. So like I said, everybody has a different way of doing it, and it's totally up to your design how you want to do it. But the most important thing that you want to make sure is that you have the right stats and statistics about your channel and all your social media information too as well. There is no like right way to start it off, but like I said, once you start seeing growth in your channel, I think that's a good time to just kind of monitor when it's a good time to start it up, and then going out there and creating it. Pitch decks are not very easy, but I think the best way of doing it is just make it as simple as possible. There's sometimes that people don't want to read through a whole email and they'll just like click on a pitch deck and they're like, okay, here's the information that I needed. Perfect, I got it right there. So as I said, I had a few comments on the Twitters about this pitch deck idea, and one of the questions was, do you have a suggested benchmark for when you should create a pitch deck, like X amount of views, followers, etc., or just go for it when you feel ready? So for that question, I kind of answered it in this video, but yeah, like I said, it really does depend on when you feel good about it and when you're seeing growth in your channel. I would not say if you're just starting, just starting streaming, to start one right away. I think when you start seeing a massive growth in your channel and on your social medias and all that kind of stuff, that is probably a good time to do that, especially if you want to reach out to brands. Like I said, you have to be very mindful that like just because that you are reaching out to a brand does not mean that they will answer or respond or get right back to you. But it's a really good way to show your professionalism as a content creator, because brands are going to want to work with professional content creators who want to showcase their brand in a really good way. I feel like it'd be too soon if you started your stream, like started from the beginning and then started creating a pitch deck and don't have any sort of your analytics. That's the most important thing that you want to have, is the analytics that tell your story and how you have grown as a creator, which is most important. So yeah, other than that, creating a pitch deck can be kind of easy but kind of hard at the same time. But that's why it's good to ask questions to people who may have had, if you see them online, just reaching out to someone who's made one before. It's supposed to be quick, easy, and get like your information out there. You have to think of it, like I said, as a elevator pitch to someone who is wanting to know about you and your channel and what you can offer. And so making sure that you're hyping yourself up and talking about like, hey, yeah, I've raised this amount of money for charity. I have created this community who has been a networking community. But yeah, hopefully some of this stuff has helped. And if you have any questions, make sure you just like throw it into the comments in the video. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe here, and check out the other videos. I have a whole section of content creator tips that I've created over the last few years. There's a lot of different subject matters. I do try to cover as much as I can. So this one was one I really wanted to get into. Make sure that you click and check out all of my videos and see which one's good for you, because I will be creating more content like this, because there's so many different aspects to content creation. And there's even older videos that I created that have changed since, streaming has evolved since I started. So there may be some updates to some videos I made in the past. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.